Alright, class, today we are going to be diving into the wonderful world of triangles. Get out your papers that no one told you to bring, and your pencils that will break within 5 seconds of using it.
So, school, huh? I've had my fair share of experiences in such a place. I'm sure many of you watching know it. Starting out in elementary school or primary school, the middle school/junior high, and the dreaded high school. I know they're called different things in other places, but as a stupid American, I don't really know what they're called. And this is about my experiences, not yours. So please don't go off in the comments on me getting it wrong. I'm aware there are other names, but yeah, American child. My first day was pretty weird, since I had completely missed it, due to my dad being in the hospital. What the heck, Dad? Just trying to get an education. I had to transfer from a middle school with 20 kids to a high school with nearly 1,000. On top of the fear of school itself, sports are a thing, huh? My weak nerd arms were not made for sports, but for some reason I thought it'd be a great idea to join the volleyball team. Immediately, they made me a middle blocker and spiker. For those of you who may not be the best at volleyball terms, a middle blocker is on the front row right in the middle. They block attacks on the other side of the net, essentially. That job I was good at. However, I couldn't serve the ball, and I had a hard time receiving. Besides just being really physically weak, my brain was actively working against me each time that I got on the court. Either I would stand up too fast and get really lightheaded and see those little blue fuzzy things that you hear old people talk about, or I would just get really overwhelmed by every little thing going on and I wouldn't be able to focus on the ball at all because all I can think of is, oh wow, that music is really loud, or wow, that person is running fast, I hope they don't hit me. So basically my brain would focus on every other thing except for what I'm supposed to focus on, which ultimately, it was just working against me. Hey, buddy, old pal. I know you won't really take this the right way, but we aren't a squirrel. This isn't a squirrel brain. You're not a squirrel brain. You're supposed to be a human brain. You're not supposed to get distracted by every little thing, and not everything is out to get you, so why are you doing this?
I don't know. I was bored.
At the beginning of the year, my geometry teacher had said something that had really stuck with me. You all may think that you've been set up to fail, but I can assure you that you can learn eventually. Your brains, all of your brains, are neurofluid, which means that you can withhold and retain new information just as well as anybody else. This I found kind of funny later on because I found out that I was neurodivergent, which means that my brain cannot in fact do that. Take that, haha. But it did make me realize a few things. The first being that just because I'm neurodivergent doesn't mean that I can't retain information. It just can either take longer or shorter of time. The second thing I learned was that there are different types of neurodivergent people. It's different for each person, and it's experienced in different ways. It's not exclusive to one experience mutually shared with everyone who is neurodivergent. The third thing I realized was that most of my friends shared symptoms of neurodivergence. It was due to this that I didn't really realize that I was different, quote-unquote, and neurodivergent. Of course, as a child, I showed symptoms of neurodivergence, but it just seemed normal to both my teachers and my parents that a child would be constantly spacing out, getting distracted by every little thing. Due to this, it took me years to finally get a diagnosis, which I got at the end of my freshman year. And this was my journey on figuring out my neurodivergence, or ADHD, as I was diagnosed. I have ADHD, anxiety, maybe depression. It feels like depression, but I didn't get to fill out anything for that test, so they were like, nah, you're fine. But anyways, this is me saying that I have ADHD, and I have problems that I'm working through, and I'm just sharing my journey